What's wapa? She's got you running errands, picking up wedding dresses. Wapa!
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
You are now listening to Cutmaster Cast.
Yo, welcome back everybody to Season 2, episode number 55 of the Cutmaster Cast. My name is Chris Romero.
And my name is Tony Pacheco. What's up, everybody?
What's up, you guys? We are DJs out of Albuquerque, New Mexico with Cutmaster Music. And on this podcast, we like to explore our weekly events, including wedding industry tips and hacks. And at the end of every episode, you know how we do it.
We take it back to the music, baby.
Yeah. And don't forget to share this episode and follow us on all socials at Cutmaster Music. And today we are thrilled to have a special guest with us. She is the driving force behind Wedding Collective New Mexico, where she's dedicated to bringing together local wedding professionals and couples planning their dream weddings. And under her leadership, Wedding Collective New Mexico has become a pivotal resource in our community, offering tools, events, and support to make wedding planning seamless and joyful. So let's welcome Shauna Pointer, everybody.
Woo!
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Pumped to have you on.
Yay.
Yeah, so we are coming hot off the Wed Talks conference last week.
Yes.
It was good.
Yes.
Really cool, really informative. I love the community you feel when you're a part of it. It feels like summer camp in a way.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun we all do our own little lanes, and sometimes it's, as the DJ, you don't always talk to the florist, sometimes you do, when they're setting up floral or doing different things, right. But you don't always.
Not a fun setting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And so it's nice to be able to just talk with them and chit chat and, get back to just like talking to people, and it's fun. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought we'd just dive right into it with that because we like to start off the podcast typically talking about our weekly events. Mm-hmm. And so I know for us last week, that was probably the big one for us since we don't have much going on in terms of events.
I was at Marble Heights, which was dope. It was a really fun party. They actually extended. We went to like 11:30. They were like, oh, it's summer hours. Keep going, bro.
When was that on Friday?
Right.
Yeah, so we did that. And then I started my first Sunday Fun Day at Revel. And that was super fun. We did a 2000s event, had a bunch of people there. It was a fun party. And then, this week, another Sunday Fun Day.
Nice.
So
lucky.
I know. But it's all nightlife stuff. It's kind of fun because you get to experiment in those kind of spaces. It's a little bit more
creative freedom.
Yes, that's exactly how it is. So it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't have anything last week. I had more AAU basketball tournaments.
There you go.
And this weekend, I've got Savannah Bananas tickets.
Dude,
Nice.
you are so lucky. I tried so hard to get those tickets.
Yeah, we're going to go check them out.
That's going to be fun. Yeah.
So actually what's cool and kind of talking about as we get into talking conference talk here, I'm a part of this group called the DJ Think Tank, and every summer we have a summer symposium, and during the COVID, right at the end of COVID, we were still on lockdown restrictions, and that summer I was supposed to go out to it's East Coast in Georgia.
Atlanta?
No, it wasn't Atlanta.
Savannah?
It's the island. And it's really nice. Oh my gosh. Why it's going to drive me nuts now.
I don't know Georgia that well.
Right?
It's going
I was like,
it's going to drive me crazy. But anyways, they went to Savannah, watched Savannah Bananas play, and I can't remember the owner's name. I think Jesse something or other. He's the guy that dresses in nothing but yellow, has a yellow top
looks like
hat.
Curious George.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was actually
owner.
He was like the keynote speaker, and he talked about the Savannah Bananas and the marketing and how that all came, how it's come to be what it is today. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to look up these islands in Georgia. I'm curious, but there's Jekyll Island, Sea Island, Little St. Simmons.
Oh man,
Cumberland Island, Sapelo Island. There's too many.
It's
all
I
good.
can't remember now.
Nice.
I'll look it up while we're talking. But yeah. So, anyways, let's get into this with Shauna.
Let's dive into our Wed Talks.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Actually, so let's go pre-Wed Talks.
Okay.
All right. I just want to know because I think I know this story,
Yes.
and I think all the people want to know. How did you get into the wedding industry?
How did you start?
Yes, high school. I actually answered old school an ad in the newspaper
That's awesome.
for an entertainment specialist at AMS Entertainment, which is a local DJ company at that time.
Cool.
And
They were
realized,
the big ones, like at that time.
yes. And
Locally?
Yeah. It was
And there's
AMS.
there's actually still Georgia, California. I actually looked it up. There's actually more AMS Entertainment franchises still actively running today.
Cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
But then I realized after DJing or attempting to do Galactic Bowl, Holiday Bowl with their Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights that was not for me.
It's so cool.
That
you
I
started
didn't know
there.
music.
Yeah.
And also I hated being on the microphone. And so I was like, you know what? I like to be behind the scenes, throw me in the office. I started working all the wedding shows, learning how to sell value over price when it comes to wedding services,
Yeah.
specifically in the DJ industry. And then just really getting to know all the local businesses.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So basically booking weddings through the DJ company. And then I ran across the Perfect Wedding Guide franchise. And that's what after we got married in 2005, we purchased that in 2006. And that's kind of how we started, because I was a college student, kind of figuring out what side of the business industry I wanted to be in, loved weddings. Knew I wasn't necessarily cut out to be a wedding planner, because that's a whole nother ballgame that I totally respect. But I love the business side. I love the
Nice.
business side of the wedding industry.
So was the
cool.
Perfect Wedding Guide already an entity here in town, and then you bought it?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So actually, Jeff from AMS Entertainment, he had actually purchased the franchise rights in order to promote his DJ company. So I actually went with him to Orlando for training, which is where their corporate office was at that time. And so I got to learn all the back end stuff, and I started it essentially like with him.
Yeah.
But then it was just kind of a failing business. It wasn't really doing anything. He put on like one wedding show called the Ultimate Wedding Show. And and so I kind of got a feel for like how it was going to work.
Right.
And then in 2006, I actually used a student loan while I was going to college to pay for it. I bought the business off him.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, because a lot of people, it seems like to me, and I think I guess more so on the planning side, it seems like, seem to get into the industry because I planned my wedding and I thought this would be really cool, right?
Yeah.
And they start doing it that way. So it's kind of neat that you actually were just kind of looking for a job, right, as a high school kid, and got in that way, and then actually bought a company.
Like found out you liked the industry, like your way though. So that's a cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it was really cool too, because I actually stopped working for him for a very short period because I did a Disney internship down in Orlando for 8 months.
Cool.
And so when I returned from that, I kind of learned about just customer service, hospitality, all of that. And I was like, okay, I love Disney. I don't necessarily want to work for corporate America. I love small business. I love the entrepreneurial mindset. I love the flexibility. And then Jake and I got married, and it was like, he totally trusted it. He was like, we had a 9-month-old, our oldest, who's 18 now. That's how I can tell how long we've been in business. But she was a baby at the time.
Nice. There you go.
So it's come full circle to be able to like run a business and raise 3 kids now. But she was a baby at the time, and it was like, man, this is something I could totally do part-time, flexible hours. But no, when you're an entrepreneur and you're a small business, it is not just part-time.
I think all of us, right? It's like, you think of freedom. And so there's absolute freedom to it, but you do not understand that you are going to work more hours than you ever thought you would. But I don't know. There's something about it, right? Like it feels completely different. Like
it's kind of a different type of adrenaline rush I feel like you get.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm like, I'm doing stuff on my off time that is business related, but in my mind, it's not. I'm not working. I'm not working,
work for
right?
you,
Like
yeah.
whether
Not here at your office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even at home if I'm working on the website and doing stuff like that's fun stuff to me.
It's nice. Yeah, you could do it at your pace, your rate. Nobody telling you what to do or whatever.
But you're actually working. You're
still,
it's
you're
like
still brainstorming. You're still thinking through things, listening to podcasts, learning, applying it. Yeah.
all of that stuff. You don't realize all the extra hours and time that you're really putting in. That's it's like
feels like freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like you're still working too.
But it is like liberating, so to speak, because I can go to my kids' events during the day.
Yeah, you can
right?
pick up your kids from school. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that was also the other thing that really drew me to this particular business too, is yeah, just that flexibility of being able to mold our lifestyle around this business, the business around our lifestyle in terms
Yeah,
of like,
right.
I totally commend everybody like you guys who work late Saturday nights and, you have all of those like commitments and stuff, but then you can take a Monday off and you have that like,
Yeah.
it's just this different type of flexibility. And so, yeah. And for me personally, I wanted to have weekends with the kids, but that was just like we're raising 3 kids and
Right.
be like mom. And so being able to do something that was more, yeah, I love the marketing side and I love weddings.
Well, and it's cool when you have support, right? So you have Jacob who like gets it. And I
Yeah.
think that is like super helpful to have a
real.
partner,
Yeah.
a partner in crime that understands that. Because I know I couldn't have built Cutmaster to where it is if my wife didn't. I mean, she's the one that fronted I think it was like $900 for like the first DJ mixer or whatever
Right.
that I bought, right? So it was like she was in from the get-go. And sometimes I think that's tough, just
Juggling
that.
schedules, but then you guys made
Right.
it like complement each other. But,
Right.
like, yeah.
So yeah, so that's helpful. But I know Jacob has like kind of the entrepreneurial mindset too. I mean, he's a realtor, so
Yeah.
you're building something, your own brand from the ground up, and you have to go out and get the business, right?
Right.
So for both of you to kind of go through all of that and get it, like that's why I think you're both like really successful, right?
Yeah.
So
Takes a team, that's for sure.
right.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then you buy this company
Yeah.
and then
Well, and it was like franchise rates, and it was like, okay, there's kind of a basis too. There was like maybe 17 vendors at that time. I mean, one of which, many of which that are still with us today that were actual members, what we call, businesses that are essentially part of our community that are involved in wedding shows and our website and the magazine and everything. But like Tanawan Country Club has been with us for 18 years. And so it's so cool to be like, hey, I was in high school when I kind of got into this with you guys. But yeah, so when it was Perfect Wedding Guide, it was basically a franchise system. There's pros and cons to franchises.
Sure.
But as we kind of grew and evolved and kind of got to know the New Mexico market, which I know everybody says their market's different, but just really kind of honing in on like, what is it that our vendors need? What is the content that engaged couples need to see and hear, and destination couples getting married here in Santa Fe? And so it's like, how can we mold our business around that, not around what the franchise is expecting of us? And so in 2011, we separated from a franchise into a licensee. So we're able to keep using the name and the website infrastructure, but do our own thing. So there's no like auditing, there was no quality control on their end. It was our own kind of team, our own thing.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, it took us 8 months to build out a brand new website and was able to rebrand February 2020, right before the world shut down.
Perfect time.
Gotta love
Yeah.
it.
Perfect
Yeah,
timing.
right.
Yeah. And that was going to be our very first Wed Talks was March of 2020. And so, yeah, so it's weird how it's like all come full circle. But yeah. And so
Well,
that
you
was
actually did your Wed Talks, your first one.
did, yes.
In that time.
March of 2021, we pulled it back around over Zoom because we totally thought, oh, let's flatten the curve. We'll be able to do it in August. So we had actually rescheduled it at that time, which is going to be at Sheraton Uptown. We had rescheduled it for August, but of course that wasn't going to happen. So
Right.
yeah, held it virtually.
Yeah, but it was cool. Doing all the vendors. I was actually lucky enough to be a part of that very first one and giving a talk on there, and it was neat. At that time, the world was just in a different place, right? So it was kind of cool. I, unfortunately, at that point, I think I either had been exposed or had gotten COVID. Who knows? Something had happened where I couldn't go into the studio space because that first one we were all going into like a studio space and we were going to record our talk, and then I had to do mine in my green room in my house.
Still worked.
It
Yeah.
did. And actually it was kind of cool because then I was able to show just some of the graphics and stuff behind me. I got a little creative. I was learning streaming at that
Yeah.
point, so I got
You're
to use
all
my new
implementing it.
I got to use my new streaming techniques,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it was cool. It was fun, and it was just
And I feel like everybody was kind of testing that out because I was still to this day working alongside Jar Chris Films, and they helped us pull together the whole kind of Zoom aspect of pulling everything together in terms of the recordings at Sheraton Uptown with Floresita Flowers creating this floral backdrop. Like it was just all of us were just kind of winging it, trying
Right.
to make sure that we can pull this off because I think at that time it was content that all of the local businesses and vendors that were planning on attending it needed to hear. They needed that uplifting message. They needed to be empowered by some new things that they can do in their business. And so all of those talks, it was really kind of relevant at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
It was needed.
That's awesome. So I want to dive in a little bit into the show itself. I know, so for those that don't know the Wedding Collective, you do a lot of different things. I mean, you've got vendor shows, you've got shows that are, network. You do a lot of networking events for us in the community for vendors, but a lot of shows that are geared toward the couples, a lot of boutique type events and things like that. So coming off of Wed Talks, can you walk us through kind of like what are the initial steps that you take when you're planning a show like that? Like I know that something like that doesn't come together overnight.
Yes. So we actually our team gets together within a week after this last Wed Talks, which was actually this last Monday, our team meeting. And so we actually start talking about next year.
Yeah.
So it does take about a year to really kind of go back through, like, what is our vision? What are our objectives? What is it that the community wants to see from us? What do they need to see? What's relevant? What's exciting? What's, going to be the most impactful for everyone? So I think we kind of just start with, like, what is the vision? What are the objectives? And then kind of move on from there in terms of, the lineup of speakers, the activities.
So that's interesting. So where do you draw the inspiration for that? So like, do you start with like trends or like, do you gather feedback from the previous show? Like, how do you start getting inspiration for like next year's show?
Yeah. Well, I'd say like the overall vision inspiration actually came from many years of being a part of Wedding MBA. And so we were like, okay, when I came back one year, I was like, I love Wedding MBA. We go every year. There's so much great value to that conference, but we're like, how can we do something locally? Because a couple conversations we've had in the past coming out of Wedding MBA is that, like, okay, I could see all these like trends, these different business strategies and stuff working with the East Coast or the West Coast, but it doesn't really work in New Mexico, maybe 2 years from now when things get to us.
Right.
You hear a lot of that, and it's like, okay, no, actually there's some amazing like thought leaders, people who are actually doing really cool things in their businesses here. And so definitely behind the vision is they have to be local business leaders that are actually implementing it into their business today in order for them to be able to then, have a heart of a teacher and share it with others.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. When it comes to selecting the vendors for the show, like what criteria are you looking for? Because what I've noticed from all the shows, that we've been to, because this was the third or fourth year,
Technically the fourth year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's virtual, and then this is the third live
show. So I know that every single year, I mean, you do a really good job of having a diverse lineup, and just covering different topics in different areas. And Wed Talks, as you all can imagine, if you've never been to the show, it's based off of the TED Talks, format, where you've got 20 minutes to
got a timer.
You got a timer, and you're going to deep dive us in 20 minutes and give us some amazing content.
Yeah.
So how do you what's that process of selecting vendors?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Definitely diversity. And I always think about that newbie vendor that's kind of breaking into the industry, and if they can sit in the audience, and is it going to resonate with them?
Yeah.
But then also the veterans who want to come, even just for the networking aspect, or from cheering on some of their favorite frienders in the industry because they're on stage this year or whatever. And so I try to think about, like, what are the topics that are going to empower them, inspire them, and some tactical ideas that they can actually take back and implement right away that they're maybe not necessarily doing. And then also maybe bringing it back to business basics, whether it's like sales or just like basic social media strategies or anything like that I feel like maybe we've kind of come away from. And even one of the years we had somebody talk on hospitality, because it was almost like, okay, during the pandemic, we're coming back, hotels are reopening, restaurants are reopening. There was kind of this lack of hospitality and customer service.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, that was a topic that needed to be heard because we in the industry have to be very hospitality driven as, people taking care of, couples and stuff at weddings.
We're service, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think just kind of looking at, and then AI. I mean, that was something, even Deanne on our team, it was like, she killed it this year, but it was like.
That was great.
Yeah. We were sitting at our team, and that was actually one of our second to last speakers that we kind of picked out. But it was like, man, we just kept thinking about who is actually using it, who's actually, doing it day to day. And as we're talking about, she just kept bringing up more and more stuff that she was learning. And I'm like, I feel like you need to be on stage. She's like, okay, I'll do it. And so she was totally like ready to rise to the challenge just because it was almost a topic that was like, I can't not do Wed Talks this year without having that topic.
It's super hot this year. It's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. And I feel like it can be very intimidating to a lot of new people who aren't as familiar with it. So I think she did a good job at delivering it to a way to where it felt consumable and not overwhelming and like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
this is
she actually
too
like
much.
changed her direction
good.
from when she was originally going to just kind of go over the basics, chat GPT, all of that. And then she's like, you know what? I'm going to just try to be a little bit more like give them ideas to chew on how to actually develop your brand voice with it.
Yes, I'm
So-
glad she did it because we definitely use AI in a couple different things. So as a person who is a little more familiar, I definitely had some takeaways that were nice too.
Yeah, it was nice
You
to
know,
see you raise your hand too because I was like, I didn't know that you were using it like
Yeah.
as professionally.
There's all kinds of different things you can
Yeah.
use it for. It's kind of crazy. And some things are better than others, right? But like our logo design for the second season was pretty much all AI. You know what I mean? Like that right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
it.
Actually, this whole episode is AI driven.
Yep.
Like
Okay, nice.
even these words I'm saying at this very moment, I'm not even.
It's all AI.
This is AI.
We're just robots.
That's right.
Yeah. But
No,
I
it was
guess
good.
to,
Yeah.
answer your question on that too is very much I feel like the presenters on stage, the speakers, they don't even have to be in business for 10, 20, 30 years because sometimes even some of those veterans can be a little bit more jaded, maybe not necessarily have as much of a heart of the teacher or might be a little, just resistant, I guess, to want to share.
They don't want to
their
give the
Totally.
secret
great
sauce.
secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, no, like the world has changed. It's like you have to be willing to share because this is also, it is a group of your peers, but being able to get up there and elevate the bar for everyone and make New Mexico a much better wedding community and a much better, place for people to plan weddings. And we want to drive more business here. So let's make them better weddings.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and it's so awesome to see the new faces every year that come up and do that and are like part of it, right? Like this community over competition mindset.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes, young, fresh blood is bringing in new techniques that people don't even think about or are looking at it in looking at problems in a whole new way. And then you're like, oh man, that solves my problem, And so, you've been really like, I've always think of community over competition, but it's been like through the theme of Wedding Collective that has helped me really understand that. You know what I mean? So it's cool.
Well, and even like when we were, we went through a whole like real, I don't know, brainstorming session, even us developing a business name. It was like, we didn't want to be just a magazine, just, a producer of trade shows. And it was like the whole collective was like, okay, this is all about the community. It's about the community are our heroes in the industry. They are the people who are making things happen and making weddings happen. We're just there to connect them. So we're just fostering the connections. And so that's kind of our whole like underlying thing just in general with Wedding Collective. But I think it's the businesses that make the magic happen.
I love it.
awesome. So tell us, what are some of the most significant challenges that you face in organizing like an event like that, and then what do you do to overcome them? And, maybe there's a particular situation or something you might be able to share with us that you had to deal with.
Yes, probably the very specific situation was definitely COVID. I mean, that was the most disheartening. Obviously, it's really kind of shut down things for a lot of people's businesses. But in that aspect, it was at a time when it was like, we were just launching this conference. And it was like, we had such a great lineup and we were so excited. And so that was frustrating to do it virtually, which I hope to never have to do again. Just because it wasn't the original vision. It wasn't the networking. It wasn't the connections. It wasn't the, it wasn't.
And that's like what our whole industry is based on, right?
Yeah.
It's literally on connecting with people and gathering. And it's like, I honestly, so I was, if you want to call it naive, whatever, but I felt like our industry was just like impervious to any, like it can never be stopped. People are always going to get married, You're not like, you can't do it.
We had rogue weddings. So people were, they were
Still
doing it.
happens.
Yeah.
Literally, the only thing you could do to stop it is to say you actually can't, it's against the law to gather.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what?
That was a big challenge.
Yeah.
We were just going to like push through. And it was like, well, because I kept debating, okay, it's not the original vision. Do we push it back one more year? And I was like, no, at that time. And so even I think it was Mara was one of our presenters that year virtually. And I remember her just talking about like pivoting during a pandemic. And so it was just like, okay, we're just going to like switch things around. And then you did, which I know is like now Google Business Profiles, but it was like Google My Business at that time.
Right.
And so when you did that whole presentation, it's like, okay, this is the time for us to work on our businesses during the so-called
That was
downtime.
that was exactly my thoughts. It was like, okay, what is something tangible that you can actually do right now while you're literally sitting at home on your computer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart.
But I would say that's probably been the biggest challenge that we had. And of course, that was at the beginning of all of the planning of this, conference. But other than that, the other challenge I do tend to run into very much is picking out presenters that have, I believe, or our team believes, that they have amazing content to share, but they're just nervous to get on stage. And I don't want to choose public. That was the thing. It's like, I didn't want it to be all about motivational speakers or professional
Right.
speakers or bringing in people from other markets. That's not what this is about. It's about uplifting, and they have something really important to share. And so how do I get them on stage? How do I give them the confidence and empower them? And so sometimes, they'll just flat out be like, I'm not cut out for this. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pressure you, because I also don't want them to like, pee their
Right.
pants on stage or something. But it's like,
I mean, it's what the number one thing that's the number one fear
biggest
of
fear.
people is
Yeah.
public speaking, right?
oh, and again, I don't like being on the microphone. That's why I never became an actual DJ back in the day. But
You do a good job.
Yeah,
You
it's like,
emceed it.
yeah, I was like, I'm just going to get up there. I'm going to read off my clipboard, because everybody's going to judge based upon what they're going to get out of the conference. Hopefully they're not judging us, and I had Marissa, and she was a fantastic co-host and
It's
entertaining.
great.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
You didn't know who was it that we had on? Was it Alicia? No. It was Shelby. That we have beatboxing competitions.
Oh yeah. We'll like play this. Like go crazy.
I was like, oh gosh.
I know. See, I just raised your anxiety level to 1,000 right there, didn't I?
I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just wait outside. Well, yeah.
No, but it was
Yeah.
fun, and I think it's cool to like see your friends up there. It's a little more encouraging, and to see your friends in the crowd,
Yeah.
as opposed to like talking to our room of 500 randoms. You know what I mean? So
And I feel like that's also what gave people confidence.
Yeah.
When they got on stage, because there was a couple of people who were like, oh, when they saw somebody in the audience like nodding their head, or just like they saw their friend, they're like, okay, that's my cheerleader.
Yeah.
They're not judging me on my ability to be a public speaker.
Right.
They're judging me on like, they're cheering me on. They're not judging me.
Yeah.
No, and we're
Yeah.
all. I think everybody that's in that room is there to learn, right? And like to get to find a nugget, a takeaway of some sort, and I think for a lot of us too, like it's they're new speakers. It's like people that we just haven't had the opportunity to network with or see, or we just didn't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, get to know them personally.
well, like the lady selling jewelry. We were talking about emails, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have so many questions."
jewelry? Oh,
Yes,
my
and
goodness.
so I talked to them after, and they were able to give me a lot of good tips and
Yes.
just different takeaways that I would never have thought of.
Oh yeah, and
You know
like
what I
she
mean?
was like, I am so nervous. Can I have like one of my coworkers? This is Dallas, the manager, and
They were great.
Yeah, and I'm like, they killed it. And it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, you can go up there and say, I'm going to be read the whole time, but people are there to hear and learn from you, and grow from like what you're doing in your business.
Yeah,
Yep.
But nobody wants to be heckling or
I
doing
know.
anything. That's not a stand-up show or anything, so it's good.
Yeah.
But they all did a really good job too. What would you say your biggest challenge was this year?
Ooh, this year. I would probably say some of the last couple of speakers. There's a couple other topics that we're going to bring back next year that I really wanted to bring in this year. So I think sometimes it's speaker selection. It's empowering them to want to be on stage.
Nice.
Yeah, that seems to be a common one and probably that you'll deal with most years.
Probably.
And
Yeah,
you'll
so
just-
I'm getting used to it now.
I was
It's
gonna
like,
say you're getting better with
kinda-
each one, right?
Yeah, I just kind of like move on. I'm like, okay, maybe next year. Let me know if you're interested next year. And
Yeah.
as long as it's still like a relevant topic and all of that. But yeah, it's really just encouraging them and without pressuring them to like jump up on stage and be willing to share something cool.
Nice.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's get into like marketing, a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about your approach to, marketing like a vendor show like that, and maybe like what channels have you found that are most effective for, creating buzz and finding an audience and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's a year-round approach. Most of it is just connections with vendors because our attendees are vendors wanting to learn and grow. And so anytime we have a new potential, business that we're getting to know and they come to our office for coffee, we're like, hey, you should come to this just because here's like, the 5 to 10 topics that we're going to be kind of covering that I feel like they could learn from and grow from. And so I think a lot of it is just personal connections with vendors. We also do like a snail mail, pretty invite from Funky Olive that we mail out to all the attendees. And so, I think email, our email list with all the vendors that we've, met over the years, and then social media.
Is the marketing the same for a show like that? Also the same for like a show like for couples, like one of your
a Diamond Dash
like
show?
a Diamond
Totally
Dash.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is more like one-on-one connections of, vendors that we've been kind of nurturing relationships, over the last 18 years.
Yeah.
So, and again, it all comes down to those that are hungry to learn. And so, or want to come for the networking or want to come for just supporting others in the industry. But wedding shows are a completely different ballgame when it comes to text marketing, email marketing, social media, TikTok. It's like a completely different approach.
I can imagine. So you're having to reach out to so much more people too.
Yeah.
And it's like, what I like is when you're able to send those like invitations from Funky Olive, those are more intimate, more personal, right? And you can really help develop the friendship and be like, I got you a nice invitation versus like.
And everybody gets email or Facebook invites to stuff. So it's like,
it's nice to get something physical, different.
We're like, this is a professional conference that we want you to come to. Yeah. We have like these 10 sponsors that are also putting in and stepping up the bar and contributing to these events. And so we want to, out there as well.
And then when you're having to reach out to thousands of brides, you just have to keep reminding them that we're here. You know what I mean? It's like
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's basically like the more traditional marketing strategy that they have to see it 7 to 10 times before they actually take action on something. And so it is a lot more of like a sales kind of funnel, like a marketing funnel for couples. Nice.
I heard that you guys talking about like wedding takeovers or they take over your account for a little bit. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So for the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of Instagram takeovers. So we're basically vendors because with us, with Wedding Collective, we're a lot more behind the scenes. We do have a little bit more of a traditional schedule of being at the office Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. But when it comes to weddings, we don't get to be a part of every wedding. Sometimes we get all of that professional content coming back from styled photo shoots or real weddings, and we get to publish that and push that out on our platforms. But when it comes to all the behind the scenes that vendors do, in fact, I remember Chris years ago actually did an Instagram takeover, and he filmed hey, this is how I set everything up. This is how I organize everything in this section of our warehouse. This unit is going out to this wedding. And so just kind of seeing that behind the scenes. And also for couples to essentially know how much goes behind the scenes with these businesses as to what you're essentially paying for. If you're paying for start to finish, it's even photographers, it's editing time, it's flower companies going and farm to table, picking out flowers at flower farms. There's so much that goes into it that we don't get a chance to share on our platform. So we just have them take over on our Instagram for the day. Here's our login, have fun, share.
I love those takeovers. I from a vendor aspect, it's just cool seeing what your friends are doing and how they do it, right? Because a lot of times, you don't understand. Okay, Emily's got flowers there, and you just see this is amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's the end product.
Right.
How did you get there?
How did you get there?
Building out these pieces.
The behind the scenes with everything. That's
you just said picking the flowers. I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't think of that.
Let alone designing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I always learn more about our vendors too when I just watch our own Instagram when they're kind of taking over for the day. But we're actually kind of changing up our strategy a little bit with Instagram takeovers and doing more collaborations. So doing the invite to collaborate on Instagram.
Like
that way it's hitting their audience and basically encouraging them to do that content for their own audience.
It's like you doing it together, you know? Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
That's
really
strategy.
Cool. Well, let's move on to overall feedback. How are you guys getting feedback from these type of shows and different things? Because we had the things that we could fill out. I remember that.
I am so old school when it comes to stuff like that. Like having paper forms that we just throw out on tables because it's real time feedback that people actually jot down a couple notes. And sometimes we sit in our team meetings and we can't even read the handwriting because usually at this point, they've been taking notes all day. And so we're like, I don't know. I think, trying to figure out the business name. I'm like, okay, I can see where they're coming from with this comment or whatever. But so we do read them very thoroughly the Monday after our events, and then also emails. So after I send out the notes and stuff, the slides the morning after, sometimes we'll get nice lengthy emails. That's very encouraging because it tells us some things that people are loving about the conference, but also here's a really cool thing about maybe a networking activity, or we get lots of great feedback about the food at Sheraton, or got lots of fun feedback about Jazzercise and seeing Birdie on stage doing her side hustle.
She was fun.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, my mom was a Jazzercise instructor for about feels like 30 years.
Been around since the 80s.
Yeah. No, that's all my childhood is memories of her practicing her routines in the living room,
awesome.
for all of my educate or lower school life.
No, I've never done jazzercise, and for me,
So
fun. The moves were very acceptable, not
Oh.
too bad to like do, and then her commentary, oh, electric,
She talked me into it last spring. They were
Okay.
doing like at the beginning of the year, New Year's resolutions, whatever. And I
Yeah.
bought like a 90-day pass. And so I started going to all the classes, and I had known Diet, who had taken over ownership at the university, the one off of Lomas. Jazzercise. I had known her previously from the makeup world or whatever. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll buy a pass. I'll go. And it was so entertaining. And so I'm so glad that I did that because I was like, okay, I even told her, I was like, people are kind of dressed nice for this. I don't know how this is going to get pulled off. And also, I didn't know how businessy everybody was going to be. And so I was so excited to see people actually getting out of their chairs and doing
Yeah,
it.
it was fun.
I was a little nervous about it.
I was nervous. My pants were gonna rip. They were a little tight.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh, my pants might
I saw
tear with
some
that one.
guys in the back of the room in their suits. And
I
I
saw
was like,
I saw some video of Tony, and
Oh, it's like,
yeah.
he was
It was
like,
fun.
Yeah,
baby.
Pretty much, yeah. No, it was fun. It was a good time. Me and Brad went up after it too. We were like, we're not worthy. It was so fun. He came up to me. He was like, we need to encourage her because she's killing it. And I was like, let's go, dude. I got it.
No, and she brought that suggestion, and I was like, okay. And Birdie's been such a great supporter over the years, and she does all of our wedding cakes for Diamond Dash, and I was like, let's give it a chance, let's do it, and yeah, they
It was a hit for
killed it.
sure.
That's awesome. So you may have just talked about this. Maybe this was one of them. But what are over the years of doing Wed Talks, maybe like even any of your conferences, like what are some of your most like impactful or memorable moments?
I would say what's the most probably like rewarding is honestly seeing things come out of it, whether it's connections, starting to see people, like for example, maybe 2 years ago, we had somebody kind of talk about diversity and inclusivity. And I remember popping in to somebody I was talking to him, and they were like, oh, I redid my contracts to be more inclusive. So it's not bride, it's not groom, it's a lot more LGBT inclusive. And so just hearing that's probably the most impactful, is like seeing it's not just this fun conference that they go to and get some networking in there, but them actually applying it to their businesses.
Right.
And then just like seeing people be like, oh my goodness, like I have been following you on Instagram. Like I'll hear these conversations and like to get to see them in person. So that's
Yeah.
That's awesome.
impactful.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know we always go get takeaways from any conference. I think if you're not going to Wed Talks or doing some of the network events and you're a vendor here in the local scene, come on out. You got to come. I mean,
check it out. It's cool.
So you do, is it once a month on Thursdays?
Yep. So tomorrow, third Thursday of every month. So this will be April 18th at Nuevo. But we usually have 15 to 20 different local wedding vendors that kind of pull together. And so we meet up at different locations, site tours, or just fun places that people need to know, kind of hidden gems in Albuquerque.
Right.
And Santa Fe. We go to Santa Fe every couple months, but just
Is it 10 o'clock tomorrow?
10 a.m. Yep. So we kind of change up the time, we change up locations, but it is the third Thursday of every month to kind of block out that date on everyone's calendar.
I dig it.
Yeah, but it's super casual. We only do it for an hour. We literally just do an icebreaker question. Everybody introduces themselves, and then we just basically it's just a lot of. I hear a lot of like collaborations with like stylized photo shoots or a little bit more traditional, like bring some business cards, because I think just having we actually came out of COVID calling them mask up and meet up, but then we dropped the masks and it was like, okay, now we're just going to keep them going. We're just connecting.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, those events are always fun when we can get out there to them. It's just I'm always meeting new people. It seems like popping up in the industry, which is awesome, and then just seeing the usual suspects.
Yes.
That's why we're getting out to Wed Talks. Is it every year going to be at the same time of year? Like it?
Yes.
Around
year,
April?
Yes, around April. We're kind of avoiding spring breaks. Travel schedules.
Smart.
We all have families. Yeah.
I feel like it's like the perfect time though, because it's right like when wedding season's going to start,
To
right?
kick up. Yep.
Yes.
And
Gotta
so-
empower everybody.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like. It's like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like
I'm going to take on this. Yeah.
and that's kind of the way like
Good way to start the season.
all these conferences feel like. I mean, when we go to Symposium for Think Tank in the summer, we come back all energized. Every time we go to MBA, we're actually going to Wedding MBA this year.
nice.
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll be out there with that one.
Yeah, I've learned too, like, after going to a few of these conferences, you're not going to learn every single thing from all of the like speakers, right? But it's about the 5 nuggets that you take.
Key takeaways.
Yeah, exactly. That you can implement and really act on them, and just trying to make sure you're learning and growing and expanding,
'Cause that's how you just kind of keep elevating. You're just like,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to level up.
Exactly, right? Piece by piece. And then, sure enough, you built this big old thing.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up this segment here. This has been awesome talking about all this. It's given me some insight into some things here. So for, the final word, basically, giving advice to others that might be looking to organize a show, maybe an event, any event.
Yeah, business owners.
Yeah, what are maybe a tip or two that you might give them when organizing something like this?
Yeah. I would say I came up with top 3 tips.
Yes,
Love it.
we got the top 3. Let's
yes.
go.
Yeah.
Yay. So, number 1,
Number 1.
having a fantastic team.
Okay.
I feel like whether it's your company's team or just team of supporters and sponsors that are essentially, whether it's Jar and Chris Films, filming everything, Flowers from Carrie doing all the flowers, the backdrop. It's like having that team. Sheraton Uptown. I feel like the venue choice. I feel like your support team. I feel like that's probably key because like nobody can do it alone. So it's really the whole Dream Week makes it. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So that whole concept. So definitely having a fantastic team.
Number 2.
Yes. Choosing the content and presenters carefully.
Okay.
Just because that's the gold of the conference.
Yeah.
Is that's where so really just making sure that the people they're not on stage talking about their ego, their accolades. They're not wanting just the hype just to be on stage just for the limelight. It's about the content. It's about, do they have something amazing that they can teach others? Do they have a heart of a teacher?
Sounds like it's more about we, not me, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And so I think sometimes I'll talk to some others in the community and stuff, but if I feel like they're in it for the wrong reasons, I'll kind of like, okay, maybe we'll just
Right.
kind of move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think that will make or break the conference for sure.
All right.
Last one is definitely
Final one.
keeping it simple. I think sometimes overthinking all the fluffy stuff, all the little tiny details. I do think it's the differences in the details, but I think sometimes when it comes to planning something like this is giving room for flexibility and just being open-minded about new ideas such as jazzercise and being able to be like, okay, we're going to try something a little bit different this year and we'll roll with it and we're just going to have fun with it. And so I think keeping so many other things super simple just allows for the vision to really take place of what the original objective was.
It really alleviates stress too, I feel like, because then you're having that flexibility to pivot, or if something does happen, it allows you to not have to like, oh God, this has to be perfect. You know what I mean? Yes, that's good.
Yeah. And we have a small team of 4. So it's like we can only do so much. And this is just one part of our business. And so it's like we're still running into magazine deadlines. We're putting on the next wedding show. We're constantly optimizing the website, writing blog posts, managing social media. So there's so many other components to our business as with all of us.
Yeah.
So it's like really just kind of keeping it as simple as possible for the conference.
That makes sense too. Yeah. Nice.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we have some people out there that got some nuggets out of that. That's
Little takeaways.
I mean, I always think keeping it simple. That's what I find the hardest part, within 20 minutes. That time goes by really, really quick, right? So it's like you have to I know I had to go back to that keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right. So that way, just hit these bullet points, make sure those get across, and then not too much of the fluff, so to speak.
20 minutes is nice though, because
I like it too.
you're able to like kind of mentally take a break in between. You're like, okay, cool, that one was nice, and then let's move on to the next one. The break in between was really nice.
Yes.
It just really helped you kind of stay engaged. You know what I mean, for those speakers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, we are going to move on to the next section.
Oh yeah.
All right.
We normally have a real song. We've been having real songs, and we have copyright, like take it down off YouTube.
No.
So now we're having to play these like generic old
Yeah,
beats.
that's our new this
Right.
or that music, and it was in
Okay.
double time that you all are going to hear. We can't hear it like that, but I forgot to take it off of this.
Whoops. That's
So it was like a nice echo for you all that are listening out there right
enjoy
now.
that echo.
Yeah, it was. That's our new this or that.
That was
music.
intentional.
Okay, so we're springing something on you here, Shauna. We're gonna play a little this or that with you.
Yeah, we intentionally didn't tell you, but these are pretty light. They're not too
Okay.
crazy. I
Okay,
promise.
so this or that, you only get to choose one.
Okay.
Those are the rules that Chat GPT made up. So
Cool.
we're going with it. All right, outdoor or indoor wedding?
Outdoor.
Outdoor, nice.
Outdoor wedding.
Is there any particular reason why?
Because we had one, so I'm a little biased.
Ooh,
but that was
okay.
also back in '05.
All right,
was it?
let's get
Prairie
personal.
Star.
Yeah,
I know, Prairie Star.
Did you love it? Did you?
Dad.
So
And Rebecca's still there. She had just started 2 weeks before our wedding, so
Wow.
she's been there 18 years because that's how long we've been married.
see.
So I
I
love
think
her.
it's such a hidden gem because you still get that mountain look.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's right there. It's a little tight, but when you have tighter spaces, you have more intimate conversations, more intimate dance parties. So it kind of can work out in a lot of great ways, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I dig Prairie Star.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, buffet or sit down.
Sit down. I'm kind of a foodie, so I love a good plated, fancy looking dish.
All
For
right.
Sure.
Some fancy
Yeah.
fancy corn dogs.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like bar food too. So
Ooh.
yeah.
See, I feel like bar foods are great for like the after, like the 10:30
trucks
snack. Yeah, the
and-
food truck.
the
Yes.
midnight bite.
Can we do both?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I would rather instead of buffet. I love like an active food station.
Yeah.
There's like a pasta bar, mashed potato bar. Like I like that kind of stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
That is cool.
I like it. Okay.
The hot one. The hot
This is-
question.
This one's a hot take. All right. Live band or DJ?
I worked for a DJ company. I am a little partial to a good DJ.
yeah.
So it has to be somebody who knows how to work announcements, microphone.
Right.
I think
yeah.
that hits all of us. We talked about that the other day a little bit. It's like once you've done this and you've been in the kind of in the thick of it, and you've been on a microphone or you've been behind the decks, you're jaded from that point on. It's like you look at things just differently, right? And it's kind of hard not to critique.
So I like the idea of both because I love live music. I love the talent and the creativity behind musicians.
Yeah.
Even our 15-year-old son is taking drum lessons, so I've been hearing a lot of drumming lately.
Nice.
Trying, and I,
So Shauna hears all day.
yeah. And then our 9-year-old picked it up, so our youngest daughter, and
Oh, how
so
fun.
we're spending a lot of money on drum lessons right now. But
Yes.
It's cool.
yeah,
That's how I started. I was a drummer.
Nice.
Yep, that was the biggest mistake my parents ever did was give me a drum set for Christmas.
we threw it in the basement. So it's our
you
oldest
go.
daughter right next to her bedroom. So she's not super happy, but we have some rules around when you can play drums
There you
when Allie's in her bedroom. But
It's too funny.
yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I love live music though too. So the only thing I noticed is that there's just something about a master of ceremonies, the MC, that can do something different than a live band.
Yes, I agree with that.
yeah.
They can kind of help coordinate the day, encourage what's going on, and really like kind of manage the day without making it about themselves, right? If you have a good MC, they can celebrate the couple, but also get people's attention to help them see these important moments, you know?
Yeah.
So stuff like that is really, really important.
And I was kind of, starting out too at the time when there was iPod weddings.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay.
They're still around, I promise.
Oh gosh. I was hoping that was a thing of the past, but dang.
A lot of them will say we can just make a Spotify playlist and we're good. And so we
the streaming
try to help
services.
them understand the value of MC and being able to
Yeah,
read
just
a
some good
crowd.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, right. Or just being able to transition the song. We're noticing a lot of couples with TikTok and music mashups. They want quick mixing. They want it done fast. They don't want to hear the song for 3-4 minutes. They want it to go now, And so we're finding value in being able to quick mix and show them that we can give them custom playlists and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So much added value.
yeah.
All right, next one. Summer or winter wedding?
Actually, probably more recently, I think winter weddings are amazing just because I've been seeing a lot more content like November. November was a big wedding month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm seeing all this. I don't know if it's New Mexico or if there's just like a more like ethereal kind of vibe with like winter weddings. I don't know. It's definitely been kind of this like coming trend, I feel like.
Nice.
Okay, photo booth or live painter?
I have been a little more partial to live painters. I feel like
The
it
live
is
painter
so
looks
entertaining.
cool.
Yeah.
The live painting looks cool.
I've seen it a couple times.
I don't know if we've had it done. We actually had someone
I saw it at La
a few-
Fonda.
a few years back that
Yeah.
came on our team as a live painter and never it was right before COVID. And he never got the opportunity, and then that just kind of died off.
No, we were at La Fonda and La Terraza, and
Mm-hmm.
so they were able to paint the ceremony with the church in the background. And
yeah.
oh my gosh, it was just crazy to watch her do it.
Yeah.
In that,
And I think it's that like, again, kind of like a photo booth too. It's, very interactive. Your guests are kind of intrigued with it.
Yeah.
You get to watch it develop because
Yeah.
she paints during like the whole cocktail hour, and then you can peek at it.
We had
God.
we had one at Bishop's Lodge that when all the couples could go up and get a live painting
Like
of
a
the-
caricature.
It was like they were small little paintings. Like that's what they did. Like instead of
That's insane.
photo booth,
Yeah.
it was pretty. So I think she would take either a picture of them because they had to go and pick up their painting a little bit later, but she did them all.
That's so smart
There's so
because
much talent behind that too.
Yeah.
And I love
Real.
supporting the arts, so I think that's just super cool.
Right.
yeah, I love that idea.
But I also love photo booths. I feel like that's another form of entertainment. So maybe both.
Yeah. Okay. We'll give you a pass on both. That's fine.
Yeah, cool.
Formal attire or casual dress?
Somewhere in between. Yeah.
Ooh. So
Wow.
No tie, but still
I'm hearing
certain
tie
jacket.
with shorts.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm hearing Crocs.
Slacks.
all
with a Hawaiian
denim
shirt?
suit. You mean
Right.
Yeah.
Canadian suit?
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like comfort, I think, is important for your guests. And especially if you're going to have lots of dancing or a lot of entertainment, I think, so maybe not as stuffy as like more formal indoor weddings have been in the past.
So I'll give you DJ's a tip hack out there.
Okay.
I actually wear. I mean, it looks just like suit outfit, but I
gear?
wear golf pants.
Oh, yeah.
Golf pants.
Yep. Those blue ones are they're golf pants.
Probably super breezy.
You know what? They're it's like a little bit stretchy, like material.
Yeah,
So
Sweat wicking. Yeah.
they're super comfortable.
breathable.
Like they're breathable, just like they don't, but they look just like dress pants.
that makes sense.
Yeah, like you would never know if I just didn't give away my.
I like that.
My tip.
That's a good hack, honestly, because
Yeah.
if you need just like another pair or whatever, because the pair of pants that I own are like $110
Yeah.
for like suit pants.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and I was just
they
actually
last.
going to say they're actually not very cheap. I think they're
not
like
cheap or expensive.
or they're not. Well, no, they're not cheap.
Okay.
Like
They're pricier?
Yeah, they're. I mean, I think they'll run you, $70-$80 for a pair.
Fair enough.
But like I said,
They work.
I'm just telling,
Breathable.
and they stretch. You don't have to worry. Like if you're bending over
doing
for
jazzercise?
gear, and so if you're doing jazzercise in the middle of your event,
Not going to rip your pants.
That's
yeah.
next year at Wed Talks, you better wear some golf pants.
Okay.
Seriously. We'll
Yeah.
just do some sponsorships. Yeah.
Yeah.
Callaway
Yes.
pants. Okay. Number 7, big wedding or intimate gathering?
More recently, intimate gathering. Actually, probably most friends. I mean, I love a big wedding. I love the way it supports, just added, I guess, energy at weddings with a bigger wedding. But I think the intimacy, especially if you're not necessarily a young bride, young couple, I think intimate weddings, just having our close friends and family. I feel like if we were to get married again, I mean, we had pretty much every church friend and all of that at our wedding, which I loved. I mean, I look back at the pictures and stuff, but of course, we don't necessarily talk to all those people anymore.
We
And so-
say the exact same thing. I think we had like 250 to 300 people at our wedding. It was at the Wool Warehouse back in the day.
Wow.
And
Old school.
it was old, but we talk about how now, and I wasn't really, I had just gotten into DJing,
Yeah.
and what I know now, right, looking back, hindsight, it would totally be way smaller, intimate gather. It'd be less than 100 people.
You told me like
Oh, absolutely.
stories of you being like out and about the week before at like the local bars.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
be like, hey, come to the
Oh, I would see
wedding,
people
bro.
that I hadn't seen in
Like, I'm
years.
just going to have this big bash.
Yeah. Oh, Monica was
Bring
like,
me a gift.
it drove her nuts
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
we would see people and
And
I'd be
you
like,
can't even say hi to everybody, like during the greeting.
Yeah.
time,
A lot of
cocktail
people.
hour.
and I come from that typical, Spanish New Mexican family where I've got my cousins, tias, third
You have
cousins
to
that.
invite everybody so you not offend anybody.
Yeah.
So I refer to them as the wedding and funeral family because that's the only time you see them,
Reunion.
right? Like, and it's like,
Yeah.
who is that? And your mom's like, oh, you don't know. I'm like, what?
No, I don't know them.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And so no, it would. I would do a much smaller.
We're seeing that trend too because it allows couples to spend more on each individual
Oh.
guest so they can
Better
bring more value.
decor.
Yeah, way better. Exactly.
Better entertainment, better food.
I think the experience overall is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Classic invitations or digital invites?
Classic.
Yeah.
Like I said, we still do snail mail when it comes to sending out invites to our vendor parties, to Wed Talks, all the things. I just feel like people don't get mail these days. And so when you get just bills and flyers, nobody. But when you get something that's pretty and personalized and it just has that feel, you kind of have an idea of how formal the wedding is. There's a lot of things that those invites actually tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Who's
a good way to.
invited?
Yeah, right. You can really do a lot with invites, and kind of go the extra mile with your guests and have them open it up or something like that. I always liked a something you can stick on the fridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those.
Keepsake.
Exactly. Keepsake. You can see a photo. See all those. Or
Keep them all up there, right?
yeah. So like those are always really cool to have too. But yeah, something physical. And as the world's getting more and more digital, that physical is kind of feeling more and more like something.
I remember there was a local DJ company many years ago that actually did DVD invitations, and it was like mailing out actual. But then grandparents couldn't figure out how they would get this DVD, and they couldn't figure out where's the invitation
do with
details.
this?
Oh, I have to pop it into the yes. And so it only stuck around for a very short period of time.
You know what I'm seeing? We've been seeing is they'll put like a digital like display or like an AR invitation. So you get the physical one, then you put your phone up to it, and then the
I've
little
seen those
interactive.
too.
yeah. So that's like a new thing where they'll have a physical, so grandma can still read it. But then if you want to like elevate it,
Oh, that's a great mix for sure.
Right.
But also with the digital invitations, they might get stuck in cyberspace. They may not actually make it to people's emails.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's so many other elements
that's such a good point.
that would stress me out if I was
Go
the
into
bride.
your
Like,
spam.
did you get my
Spam.
invite?
This
Yes.
wedding just spammed me.
Yes. Yes.
So true though.
So classic all the way.
Okay, last one.
Last one.
This one's very
The
controversial.
hardest one, most controversial.
Right.
Gosh.
What's on your plated dinner? Do you have red or green on there?
Oh, Christmas.
Nice.
Yes.
Ooh.
All the way.
All
Yes, it used to be
right.
green, but now it's Christmas everywhere.
Nice.
Yes.
For real though, you can't just have one.
No.
And it also has its own little flavor.
And it depends on the restaurant too, and who's providing it. Yeah.
So what's your favorite? Speaking of, let's go there. Yeah.
You got a
restaurant.
favorite red or green?
Okay.
Someone's got to cater your yours and Jacob's Val renewal, and
Yeah.
what's it gonna
that's a
be?
good-
What's on the plate?
What's the foodie having?
Oh, the food. Probably tacos.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would
as
you
far
do
as-
like different tacos? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Street tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go out for tacos a lot.
God,
Yeah.
you better invite me.
I know.
Have you ever had Los Pukis?
No. Have you ever had Don Choche?
Yes.
Yes.
Don Choche slaps.
I haven't had
They-
either.
They
so
have a food
I'm
truck
taking
in
notes.
Marble downtown
Oh,
all the
okay.
time. I've never been to their
yeah.
restaurant. Funny
The
enough.
restaurant is like the cutest hole in the wall.
Nice.
Yeah. Amazing
Oh
food.
my God.
Yeah, they're closed on Mondays because I always try to go after our team meetings, but yeah,
Their salsa's so hot too.
It is.
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
the pineapple sauce.
Yeah, so Los Pukis was a food truck,
Pukis,
and they
okay.
became a restaurant or kind of a hole in the wall, and they're on Manal and San Mateo.
Okay.
Cool tacos.
Let's check them out.
Yeah,
Have to check it out.
good deal on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
It's my takeaway from this episode is tacos.
Oh, you know what's
go out for
good?
some
They
tacos.
have birria ramen tacos over at Green Jeans.
Oh,
Insane.
interesting.
We love tacos as well.
Ramen tacos.
So they have it's like
Wow.
birria.
It's like
so
something I should have had when I was 22.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
in the
like
dorms.
birria ramen, and then like it's all that spicy, but it's also the consomme that you dip the birria taco in. Oh my God, I'm getting.
Is there any meat in there?
Uh,
Is it mostly?
yeah, I'd say there's like some roast beef or some
Okay.
kind of beef in there, and that's
Okay.
mixed in with the ramen, and then you have your tacos as well with cilantro, onions, all that good
Yum.
stuff. Yeah, very tasty.
All right.
Jeans.
Okay, we've made it to the last segment.
Yes.
You know how we do it. Great Scott!
88 miles per hour.
All right, which character are you in
Who's your favorite character in Back to the Future?
Back to the Future?
Oh,
This is on the spot.
I know. My husband's huge Back to the Future.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's why we like Jacob.
I
He's
know,
homie.
right? Yeah.
He's such a cool guy.
seriously. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually just a Michael J. Fox fan, so
Great.
I just think he did such a great job with that series.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Have you seen the story?
His best movie though, by far, Teen Wolf.
No, I've never seen Teen Wolf.
No, really?
Yeah, is it good?
No, it's good.
It's a little cringy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, there's some like classic '80s movies
Yeah.
like Karate Kid.
you know
little-
what?
yeah.
Oh,
Classic.
I'm just gonna tell you this. You have to go watch Teen Wolf.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
It's
You are,
entertaining. Yes.
enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, what in
Nice.
God's name?
Yeah.
I can never get this 2.5 hours back in my life.
I know.
It's the worst. Hey, and you're a basketball fan,
Oh yeah, he plays basketball.
so yeah, go watch it.
You know, it's a horrible
Just
basketball.
have really low expectations.
Okay.
In terms of like movie quality.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. I
and
like it.
and Wolf hair quality.
Yes. Yes. The
It's,
special effects.
That's funny.
The
7.5.
costuming.
Yeah. So yeah, Michael J. Fox, shout out him.
Yeah.
So okay, so again,
Getting sidetracked.
as you can see, I can derail this podcast.
we get
like
sidetracked
Like,
quite
how
a
many
bit.
hours do we want to go?
That's right.
Yeah, right.
All right. So typically, we do this segment with like a top 5, back to the music. But you came to us with a new topic. Shauna was like, you know what? You guys aren't doing this this thing right.
Doing it right.
You're not doing it right. This is a podcast. And you gave us the excuse that you don't listen to music, which that's impossible. There's no way.
Well, you said you mentioned a couple. You gave me like you
you.
dropped Ed Sheeran, Hoiser, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay. So I knew there was an impossibility, but
some.
I like this topic. Okay. You wanted to come in with your top 5 podcasts that you listen to.
It's a cool direction because it's different for our listeners.
Yeah,
so we're all about.
Like
it.
I'm taking notes right now. Here we go.
And you had mentioned these aren't really wedding related, though, right?
Yeah. So I guess when you kind of full disclosure, I'm not a big kind of like listen to music in the car kind of situation. Okay. I love podcasts. I just love, and they're not necessarily wedding because every day, our day to day is the business side of the wedding industry.
Yeah, that's your work, right?
Yeah, it's like that's R&D. It's always working on the wedding side, the business side of the wedding industry. But when it comes to just like commuting time or traveling or whatever, I just love listening to different podcasts. But specifically, I think for you guys, I think the Cutmaster Cast, I think has been a fantastic podcast locally for, I think, just building up New Mexico vendors. So I think from a podcast, obviously, you should be listening to this one.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna check them out.
Yes.
Okay, Cutmaster Cast sounds like a good winner.
To see that you actually launched this, but also I've been following Alan Berg over the years, and so I think the Wedding Business Solutions podcast.
Do you know he was just here like a couple weeks ago?
Oh, really? Just like here in
Albuquerque.
Oh, okay.
So him and actually they had because he's part of the National Speakers Association, something
like global,
something like that.
Yeah.
Him, a buddy of mine, Rob Ferre, who's a DJ out, and a lot of those guys that are in there.
Okay.
They had a conference here at Hotel Albuquerque.
Rob Ferre was here too?
Yeah. So I was, of course, I was in Vegas for 311 Day because they all hit me up. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna be in Albuquerque," and I'm like,
bad timing.
Yeah. It's like, dang it. So, but Allenberg was one of them.
Yeah, and I like that he's just a no frills kind of just tells people what they need to hear from a business perspective, because I think sometimes people get too fluffy with their marketing strategies. They try to, do too many things aesthetically with website or email marketing, but sometimes just really getting down to what actually works and what actually gets results. And so I think that's something that sometimes people need to hear from his messaging.
And what's
he's awesome. Allenberg, go and I'll
Does he have a name of his podcast?
It's Wedding Business Solutions.
Wedding Business Solutions.
And go check out if you find anything with him on YouTube. I know he's got stuff probably on TikTok and Instagram too. You're right. He's like a marketing guru, like especially for the industry. Yeah. So and
he's been around a long time, so I think he's seen a lot. He kind of knows, the ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good one.
Okay.
But another one, this is more just one. I am a huge Dave Ramsey advocate.
Okay.
So
Yes.
for years, so we actually started our journey with the whole, debt-free back in 2013. And so, personal finance. I still listen to his podcast. I listen to his Entre Leadership. I read his books. I listen to his Millionaire Hours. I just love, I think what it is from a personal standpoint is he gives a lot of kind of little nuggets of wisdom about how he grew his business. So I think there's a lot of business acumen that kind of comes out of his podcast, but I love his style. I love him just having random callers in just because it's very entertaining. You're hearing people's real life stories.
I totally agree. I've listened to his stuff too. And what I like about him is he gets right to it.
He's,
No nonsense.
Yeah, it's no nonsense.
He can make you feel like an idiot, but you also take his advice.
Yeah, because he's
exactly. But you come away with it like, God dang it, Dave, you're right. I am an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
As a viewer too, I don't listen to a lot of it, but I follow it on Instagram and TikTok, so I see a lot of the clips.
See a lot of the messaging.
Exactly. And, so I get the idea of what he's trying to say, but what I like about it is it helps me as a listener think, all right, I'm not alone. Yeah. There's way worse people out there who have
they're crazy.
Yeah, that are crazy, and I would never think to do some of these things, and so it helps me reassure to myself that maybe I'm not so bad financially, and I'm doing okay. And
I like a lot. I like the business side. I like the biblical, backing of a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, right. Helps with themes.
Yeah, and I think it's strong marriages, whether it's combining finances, even just kind of business finances with retained earnings, and just the separation of that. And so just a lot of stuff that I feel just gives you this foundation that so many people don't necessarily think about. And then also we actually talk about it a lot, even with our teenagers, as especially one going off to college this next, this fall. It's like we talk about personal finance. It is not a taboo subject in our family. So we talk about our businesses. We talk about the ebb and flow of my husband working in real estate with commissions and just like. I think it's important for it to be an open topic because I want our kids to also be set up for success with making wise decisions.
It's not talked about in education at all, and so
we are. I'm so in line with you on that. In fact, like my oldest son was looking for a math class for his was it this year? Yeah, I think it was this year, or it was an elective, I guess. And they had personal finance.
They did. Oh, because our kids. I was like. I'm jealous
cool.
that he gets to do that.
Yeah. And I was like, you are taking this. And actually he wanted to take it. He was like, this sounds like it might be cool.
They have
I was
to have
like,
their own.
Yeah. They've got to want to do it,
Yeah.
But, and I was like, Jonas, that would be awesome for you. Yes. Take it,
Yeah.
So he was doing that along with DECA. Yeah. And so I'm like, dude, this is yes.
There's so many skills that no matter what you do in the future, that those are going to be so applicable.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I like just all the Dave Ramsey's. That's probably my go-to. And sometimes just because they're 20-minute little segments that it just, drive time, whatever.
nice and consumable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in recent years, we've become real estate investors. So I love listening to Bigger Pockets.
Bigger Pocket.
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, we're on the same podcast.
I love Bigger Pockets.
Yes.
Love it.
And so it is a little bit because it's very anti-Dave Ramsey in terms of creative financing. So I kind of combine the two.
I like that though.
It's you and I like staring in the mirror because you're right. I'm not. I shouldn't say I don't get on board with everything with Dave Ramsey, but
I'm not a Burr fan.
I think you just have to pick and choose the stuff that kind of works and fits with but they both have just great underlying themes and ways to go about
storytelling where you're like,
right.
Oh, okay, I saw how they got there.
Right.
Okay.
And that's or I had never thought of that in that way, right? Or thinking of things like that.
Mm-hmm. No, it's good. And it's good to kind of see, I guess, the extremes of both sides or whatever, right? Because then you can find your little sweet spot in the middle or whatever works for you. Exactly.
Your value system.
But you're right. They are kind of it's different things, right? So Ramsey's going to tell you a lot of
pay cash for
paying
investments.
cash.
Yep.
And whereas they're going to tell you like the Burr strategy, and borrowing other people's money to do this, fix up your house.
Equity, yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, you go fix up the house, rent it back out, take out the equity, go do it again.
And we're talking simplicity. I want a simple life. I want financial peace. I don't want to be playing all these different games with it,
Yeah. Trying to do jump through all these hoops to just kind of make it
But
work out.
something that Bigger Pockets talks about that I think, Ramsey it seems to be on board with is buy a house per kid, right? And that ends up being their later on, like
financial
college. That's their college
That's
plan.
Right. So we have 4 doors. We have our primary, we have our office for Wedding Collective, the townhome, and then we have 2 Airbnbs that we had invested in, have purchased in 2021 and early 2022 that we've now been doing as short-term and a little bit mid-term rentals. But we tried convincing our oldest daughter to go to UNM. I'm like, you could go to school practically for free with scholarships. And then you could stay at this. You could house hack it. The mortgage payment is only $809 a month. And I'm like, it's a 3-bedroom. Rent out the other bedrooms. We tried convincing her to stay in Albuquerque and take over one of the Airbnb properties. But no. She wants to live her own life. And so obviously we're supporting that. But
Yeah.
You're
like, this can work so
well. And I was like, but you got to go spread your wings.
Right.
We're going to support
Let her have some
that.
fun.
Now I'm
Go do
excited.
her own thing. Yeah.
And now you're not my favorite kid anymore.
I know. I was like, so the other 2 kids.
Right. You're like, okay, so here we go. We already got the idea for the next one.
Yeah,
Too funny.
exactly.
Yeah, no, we've thought of the exact same thing, with ours. It's all right, trying to figure out ways to house hack. I wish in my 20s, when I bought my first house, I had know what I know now, right? Yeah. And just being able to do that as long as I could until, getting married and all that stuff. So
Woulda, shoulda, yeah.
I know, but that's good.
I know.
That's a good one.
Nice. Bigger pockets.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I actually have one more.
Okay,
the last
great.
one is I've actually
Last
been,
one. I'm excited.
Yeah, is the IBBA. It's the International Business Brokerage Association.
Okay.
I've actually been learning and being mentored to become a business broker to help people create exit strategies for businesses and buying and selling businesses. And so I love it just because it gives you so much added value in terms of like how to build your business for the potential of being able to sell one day.
Yeah.
And so, so it's just got some really good like insights and stuff from that podcast.
Cool.
You
So
got you.
nothing wedding related.
You
but
brought one that I was waiting for,
Yeah.
because I've never heard of that one, so I'm gonna check that one out.
But I mean, there's definitely people who could be in different stages in their business and their life and can find value in these actual podcasts too, you know, and not, yes, our lives are a lot around weddings, but we also, you know, do other things, you know,
Yeah,
buy
there's-
property and do other ventures and stuff like that. So
You know,
it's good to
that
have
one's
these.
good though, because I think any business owners out there, I don't know. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't think of this stage of a business, right? Where
when you're ready to retire someday and pass
Yeah.
the baton to somebody else.
Right. You know, and then it's like, why not try? And so I'm currently going through this. I'm doing business coaching this year, which I've never done. And with the intent of hopefully you can build your business up to where one day it's an asset really that maybe you can either sell it or, you know, it can continue on without you. Right.
Yeah. Whether it's like your children. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's this sounds like a good podcast that, you know, talks about a lot of that type of
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah.
I think like the basics to it is really just a plug and play that a new business owner could come right in. You've got the processes, you've got the
Right.
clients, you've got the brand. So really like they don't necessarily need to be, in your guys' case, maybe fantastic DJs yet or MCs, but they need to be, you know, ready to just jump right in and learn the ropes. And so I
Right.
think it's just having a plug and play with processes and training and all of that that's just in place, I think.
That's everything that
We're trying to figure out now.
we're sharpening up now is putting all the processes in place, but not only having processes, but having them literally live somewhere, right? Like they're written down or on videos. We're doing a lot of that now where we're putting a lot of our processes on videos so that when someone comes in, helps with onboarding, you know, troubleshooting, things like that. And just having a lot of this stuff that the legit businesses have, right? And then for the financial part of it, having that down and knowing what you're looking at when it comes to your numbers
A lot of
and
tracking.
being able to compare. We're tracking a lot of things now that we just weren't tracking before.
And most people don't even pay attention to the finances. They're
Yeah.
just excited if there's money in the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And
I think-
exactly.
Yeah, they don't even know where their expenses are going.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. So no, that's a great. No, I appreciate this. This is like really good. Like you're the first to bring. You brought new podcasts. We've never done that, so that was super.
We always
cool.
love fresh new stuff, so
Yeah.
it works. It's great for us.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Of course.
Well,
Thanks for coming
Thanks
on.
for coming on. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, weddingcollectivenm.com or weddingcollectiveco.com for Wedding Collective Colorado.
Nice. How's that going? You liking that?
Yes, we actually hosted our very first Mix and Mingle kind
So
of
cool.
Colorado event
Yeah.
March 6th, and we had 70 Colorado vendors that we've never met before that we've just been connecting on Instagram
Sure.
to see them in person,
Yeah.
and that's just catapulted our Colorado branch.
Great.
So do you have plans in the future to keep expanding to other places?
Yeah.
Phoenix, Dallas.
Tokyo,
we already own Wedding
Bangkok.
Collective TX and weddingcollectiveaz.com.
There you go.
So, but I'm a very slow and steady. I mean, obviously, over the years,
Of course.
every market's not going to be the same as New Mexico. So, but we're not doing wedding shows in those markets. It's very much going to be just really print, digital, social media. Vendor
Nice.
events.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wedding Collective Dubai.
Maybe. I was
You
like,
see how that rain they're getting?
I was
Oh,
like,
I
I'd love
did
to go to
see
Dubai.
that. I
Yeah,
know,
Dubai
that's
would be
what-
cool.
I love traveling.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that rain.
Random thing. You seen that rain? that's
Literally, the
happening in Dubai right
airplane.
now?
Yeah.
So they got this crazy rain. They were showing the airport,
Okay.
and the water level was up to almost like the fuselage of the airplanes, like
Wow.
big 747s. It was crazy.
I guess they tried to make synthetic clouds and they did it too well or something. So now it's just raining too much. And they've gotten the amount of rain in 1 week that they normally get in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And they
It
don't
was
have
in 1
like
week.
the
Infrastructure.
the irrigation for like, or not irrigation,
I think you're right. Yeah.
like drainage.
Exactly.
They don't have any.
Because they've
It's like
never.
in Albuquerque, we don't have a lot of that.
Oh
either.
my God, it floods here every
Yeah.
rain season.
Compared to any other city, that
It's so true because we don't
sewer
have
system
it.
doesn't can't handle it. Yeah.
Nope. But yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So,
Very cool.
all right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna have to do it again. I have
Definitely. There's so much stuff we
I
can
know
talk
we
about for
there's
sure.
so many episodes
A lot of business things we can talk about.
with Shauna that we can do. So thank you again.
Till next
Appreciate
time.
you. All right. We'll see you all next week.
Later.
Thanks for for checking out the Cutmaster Cast podcast. Make sure you stay tuned with all things related at www.cutmastermusic.com.